Hey, hello? Over here? Hey, hi. All right, so recording this outside. Not really sure why we're outside, but here we are. I recently got back from a trip to Singapore and it was awesome. While it wasn't the trip we'd planned, it was still really nice to get out of the country and to just be traveling again. It's my first international trip since the pandemic began, and I just can't wait to go on more. During our time there, I shot a lot of film. Here are some of my favorite shots from the trip. So while a lot of the shooting was very off the cuff, I did have a goal going into the trip, and that was that I wanted to create some kind of printed work out of it. I think for any creative person, having their work in a physical printed form is really nice. I think it gives a sense of intention and permanence to your work that is becoming increasingly important in this very digital first age that we live in. And that's all resulted in what you see on my wall here. It's a sequence of images that's going to be going into a zine that I'm going to be producing. It's what's been taking up a lot of my spare time over the past few weeks, and I'm pretty new to this whole process, and so I kind of wanted to run you through what that's been like for me so far. The first part of creating any body of work like this is obviously very conceptual. I knew that I wanted this to be very street photography based. I wanted to capture people and little details that I saw while we were there. And I wanted to steer clear of the more kind of touristy photos that you would typically take on a holiday like this, although I did still take a lot of photos like that, as you saw earlier. I think the most important thing for me was to not force anything while we were there, and that was for two reasons. The first being that obviously I just wanted to enjoy our holiday. I didn't want to go out of my way to take any specific images that might take away from our time there, and just allowing ourselves to enjoy ourselves and kind of be there in the moment while we were on our holiday. And the second was that was kind of the feel that I wanted the project to have. I wanted it to be this very candid, almost documentary style of photography, and that allowed me to be pretty free about what I was capturing. I knew that as long as I got enough images while I was there, I'd be able to pull together some kind of body of work. Once we got back and I had all my film developed and scanned, I started to sort through images that I thought could potentially be in the zine. I think I ended up shortlisting around 100 images at first, but I knew that that still had to be cut down quite significantly. I knew I wanted the zine to be around 32, 36 pages, and that kind of gave me my guideline for how many images I had to cut down. The next part was to work out the sequencing. And for me, the easiest way to do that was to work physically. I started by printing out all of the images on my home printer and started sequencing with them that way. Big shout out to my girlfriend Jess for helping with that. It was a really big process, especially with that sheer number of images. Once I had more of an idea of the set of the images that I wanted to work with, I had some slightly nicer prints made at a local office supply store. These prints weren't that great in quality, but they did give me more of an idea of how the colors and contrast might look when I had the finished product. This stage of the process took a few weeks. I had this up on my wall, constantly changing things. It was nice to be able to come back to it day after day, and more importantly, to kind of give myself that time away from it. This allowed me to be more objective about the images that I was selecting, especially given how many images I had to cut down from. So once I had the sequence locked in, it was time to move things into InDesign. I had never used InDesign before. I was very much learning on the fly, but I do have some graphic design experience. My day job is actually in motion graphics, so that allowed me to have this kind of idea of how I wanted the book to look and feel, and that was a really big help going into this. Around this time, I also came up with a title for the zine, A Change of Plans. As I said at the start of the video, this wasn't actually the trip we'd planned to go on. We were initially meant to go to Korea. The morning we were supposed to leave, we had heard news of Seoul flooding, and we sort of weren't really sure what to do. We had very little information at the time, and so we decided instead to stay in the country of our stopover, and that was Singapore. I felt like this title not only fit the context of the making of the work, but also the relatively candid and documentary style nature of the subject matter. And that's really where I'm at with this project right now. I expect I'll be making this project in a relatively small quantity. I think my intent was not really to make a product to sell, but more to just challenge myself to create some kind of printed work in the first place. I'm currently looking into local printers to see what the viability and the costs might be of getting it made locally. I'm really excited to finally have something physical in my hands, and hopefully I'll be able to share that with you guys soon.